Up to 400% increase in the productivity of agricultural seeds. You throw these seeds into the pyramid, guess what happens? You grow the same plants, but now they're 400% larger and they got better fruit. Everything is better about them. So you can grow super seeds. Strong electrical activity. You could put a little voltage pile, a little battery on top of the pyramid, and it generates current. It's fascinating. Significant earthquake reduction. This is where you start seeing how the Earth's energy fields are related to severe weather and severe earth changes. If you build these pyramids, then guess what happens with earthquakes? You don't get a big giant quake anymore. You get a bunch of little ones that don't cause any damage. You also see an enormous column of energy hundreds of miles wide around the pyramid. This is not electromagnetic energy. This is the energy that the Russians can measure, which they call torsion fields or the time field. That energy column, that hundreds of miles wide energy column from one pyramid is enough to cause big storm fronts coming through to kind of go around it, like there's a big circle there. They just whoop, go right around it. It's crazy. It's been proven. What they also did is they took giant slabs of granite that they were going to use to build these jail cells in Russia. That's a lot better than an American jail cell, isn't it? Take these granite slabs, and they built 5,000 prisoner cells from these granite slabs, and then they watched these guys. They didn't do anything else to their environment. They didn't do anything else to their diet or their medication. Now, one could argue, well, maybe the prisoners were really happy that they had a nice granite, cell that they could hang out in. But that's not enough to explain what happened, because they had a profound improvement in their attitude and behavior, including substantial increase in addiction recovery from alcoholism and drug abuse. So all these prisoners that are living in these jail cells that were charged up with granite from the pyramid, that's all that it was, all their behavior starts improving because they're living inside a harmonic resonating chamber. The granite crystals have actually changed their structure. If you think about how you magnetize an iron nail, you take a piece of iron, right, like a nail, and you start stroking it with a magnet. And the more that you do that, eventually it becomes magnetized and you can pick things up with it. Well, we know that the reason why that works is that all the molecules in the iron are now going north to south in their electrical charge in the same direction. That's what starts to cause it to happen. So we know that you can do it to metal. You don't see anything different about the nail, but we know that it becomes magnetic because the atoms are changing inside. The pyramid does the same thing to crystal. You put the granite crystals inside, the crystals change. I don't have it in the slideshow here, but another thing they did was just to take a bunch of granite rocks and just throw them all over the floor and leave them there. And what they found was that if they came back after a few months, the granite is usually a reddish color. They came back after a few months and there were rings in the rocks that they just thrown on the ground, and the rings were whitish. The granite changed color. It actually changed from a reddish color to a whitish color in a ring. That's how much these fields change crystals and their actual structure. This proves when you get to the point of earthquakes and how earthquakes can be changed and reduced by the pyramids, and how human behavior is improved by the pyramids. You just put the prisoners in those granite cells and they get much better. This proves that our consciousness is tethered to the Earth's consciousness. You harness the Earth's consciousness with the pyramid, which acts like a funnel for this energy. The energy that builds each molecule of the pyramid is an energy that is in you. So the energy that makes you who you are can be harnessed in the pyramid, just by the fact that it's shaped that way, because there's an energy that flows into every atom in that pyramid. And if the pyramid is a perfect sphere, then it's going to all flow in the same way. But if it's a funnel shape, it's going to flow in with a directional current. That's all it is. It's a funnel. It's very, very simple. This proves a connection between our consciousness and earthquakes, a connection between our consciousness and severe weather, a strong likelihood that our consciousness is directly affecting the Earth. That's a very important point. Of course, the greatest pyramid of all is, not surprisingly, called the Great Pyramid. And we know that when you go inside the Great Pyramid, they have this sarcophagus that you lie in. And the ancient technique was that it would cause you to have this meeting with your shadow, a projection of your shadow. You go into an out-of-body consciousness, and you go into this other realm, which is time-space, as we would now call it. You encounter your shadow projection, and if you can heal yourself, which means if you embrace your shadow, the best thing you can do if you're in a nightmare and something is chasing you and you're terrified of it, don't keep running. Stop running, turn around, say, who are you and what do you want? Don't be afraid at all. Get rid of the fear. And what you'll find is that if you're not afraid of it, you're going to start seeing it change. And the more that it changes, the more you'll see that it's yourself. And when you realize that it's yourself, you embrace it. And there's this huge flash of white light, and you have this amazing experience, and you wake up in tears. Many people have reported this. That's the integration process the pyramid is talking about. Except in the pyramid, it's so powerful that you literally come out with ascended abilities. You literally can do things that we would consider miracles, such as telekinesis, levitation, instant healing, telepathy, etc. Well, it's not everybody's experience. Napoleon went into the king's chamber. What do you think happens to a guy like that when he spends a night in the sarcophagus? This is what he wrote after it happened. He was absolutely terrified. He had a horrible night. He never wanted to go anywhere near it again. So I ask you this. When the apple fell in front of Sir Isaac Newton, was that the first time that gravity was working? No, it was the first time that someone recognized that gravity was working. Is this presentation and the science that we've been putting together recently the first time that anybody's recognized that this is working on Earth? No, right? Because of what? Pyramids, global grid, everybody built it on the grid. Why did they build it on the grid? Because they saw the apple fall. They knew there was an energy field responsible for that. Except in this case, it's not an apple falling. It's a consciousness rising. So have we seen the apple fall in modern times? And the answer is no. We're trying to explain everything on electromagnetic energy, and we don't understand that there's an energy beneath electromagnetic energy that's even more important. This really becomes a scientific validation of the idea of a higher power, that there is some divine intelligence that's more than just you and me in separated brain pans, and that's nothing else that's there. That's the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking is that consciousness is a field, and that field must exist through the whole universe because consciousness is the basic behavior of matter. So matter is not just in this galaxy, it's all over the place. It all seems to have similar, if not the same, rules. Therefore, consciousness is very likely to be everywhere. Now we're going to go back into 2012 now. We've built a lot of background for this. So let's go into 815 AD, which is actually the first documented record of crop circles coming down. Crop circles are not new, and they have messages in them in the form of pictures written into crops, and those pictures will show us that there is somebody out there who wants us to figure out a puzzle, wants us to solve a mystery. 815 AD, if you look at these lavish, sunny, lovely quarters, it's actually very Gothic and gloomy. This is the Archbishop of Lyon issuing an edict called Against the Foolish Opinion of the Masses About Hail and Thunder. People believed in cloud ships from a place they called Magonia. What do you think a cloud ship is? You think that's a cloud? No. Think about it. Cloud ship is not a cloud. Cloud ship is something that they see flying in the air, and they say, well, clouds fly in the air. It's a cloud ship. And they believed that these cloud ships were flattening crops into circles because the cloud ship says, well, I'm going to protect you from bad weather, but here's what you need to do for me. If I'm going to protect you, then you need to let me flatten these circles out in your crops. It's kind of a weird deal to make with cloud ships, but what the hell? That's what they thought was going on. Agobard issued a prohibition against any locals taking seeds out of the crop circles for pagan fertility rituals. So what that means is that people were getting a bliss hit from the energized crops. They would build little huts out of them and stuff, and they'd want to have a pagan fertility ritual in them, which of course means what were they doing inside the little grass hut? I wonder. So that was purely subconscious. I had no idea what I'm doing there. Or I could go. No, there's no subtext. I'm not giving you any subtext. Obviously, what's going on is that the farmers are getting really angry because they're losing their crops. So the farmers start saying, hey, you guys, stop doing this. And they say, no, man, check it out. The energy is amazing. The farmers are like, oh, my God. So back then, the church was basically the government. So they go to basically the equivalent of the government, and they say, hey, look, okay, we got to stop these people. So Agobard, being also the governor, basically, has to issue this prohibition. Well, guess what it was all built around? It was built around crop circles, perfect circles in the crop 1,200 years ago. Are crop circles new? No. All right, Elf Ringewort is a fairy ring, a ring of daisies caused by elves dancing, a legend that dates to the 12th century. I found this on Wikipedia, of all places. This is the people that are partying and dancing and making the thing fall down in the angelic realm. That's what they believed caused these rings from 1880.